Eidfjord was the first stop on our Norwegian Fjords cruise. We were excited to see the majestic beauty of this land, so let's get started with what you need to know and what sights there are to see to get the most out of your visit. Norway, as well as many countries in Scandinavia, is expensive, so be prepared for a little sticker shock. You may find it's cheaper to buy a soda pop on board the ship than in a local restaurant. The local currency is the Norwegian krone. I wouldn't recommend you bring local currency because Norway is pretty much a cashless society. Most retail establishments accept a credit card with a chip, so you can easily charge your purchases, negating the need for local currency. If you have a credit card that doesn't charge foreign transaction fees, that's even better. Eidfjord is a small town with a population of around 1,000, so it has limited sightseeing options. To get to Eidfjord, you must travel an inner branch of the Hardangerfjord, which is just stunning for its beauty. Hardangerfjord is the queen of the fjords because it is the second longest in Norway. We sailed the Hardangerfjord in the morning. You can see how the weather changes from overcast and cloudy to sunshine throughout the sail. The captain opened the ship's bow in addition to the upper decks, so passengers could get some wonderful views and photos. The scenery is simply magnificent. We loved seeing the fall color changes and the calmness of the waters. Don't expect these sights to be like Alaska. While both locations have beautiful scenery, the Norwegian fjords are different, mainly due to the lack of wildlife sightings. The scenic cruising along the Hardangerfjord is narrated by the cruise and travel director. It can only be heard in the ship's crow's nest, meaning not in your room or in any outside areas, due to Norwegian noise regulations. So you'll have to decide whether you want to hear the narration or simply enjoy the spectacular scenery on your own. The last item to highlight on the Hardangerfjord was its bridge, which you'll see about 45 minutes before reaching Eidfjord. The bridge, opened in 2013, is 1,380 meters long. As the bridge approaches, I'd recommend finding a spot on the upper deck. The bridge's maximum deck height is 55 meters, and our ship, the Rotterdam's height, was 54.5 meters, so it was a close call in clearing the bridge. Finally arrive in Eidfjord. You can see the relatively new cruise ship facilities and how close the ship will dock to the downtown area. It's an easy 5-minute walk to get to the Tourist Information Center, start a hike, or take a tour on the troll train. So, what options do you have for spending your time in Eidfjord? As you get downtown, the first thing you might notice is several sculptures and art installation. The most notable is a huge old Pelton runner from a nearby hydropower station, and it gives you insights into the industry on which so much of the Fjord region relies. We took a tour to visit the mighty Voringfassen waterfall. It is one of Norway's most famous as it plunges down almost 600 feet into a beautiful gorge. We were treated to fantastic vantage points of the waterfall and the surrounding scenery from a recently added metal bridge that spans the upper part of the gorge. The hike down to the vantage point takes about 15 minutes, and remember, it's an uphill climb on the return trip. It's also possible to hike along the bottom of the gorge, but this requires more time than you might have while you're in port. You can also simply hike to the main sites in Eidfjord. We took a leisurely walk to visit the town's churches, the new one built in 1980 and the old medieval St. Jacob's Church. This whitewashed old stone church from 1309 seats around 100 people. It's now only used on special occasions, but the door remains open during the daytime hours so you can catch a peek inside. Right next door to the old church is the workshop of the craftsmen of Trebua, and it's open on cruise days. They have souvenirs for sale and a small exhibition on the Hardanger fiddle. Our leisurely walk took about 45 minutes, and as a reminder, the street has a slight incline that you need to be mindful of as well. You can also hike to the Iron and Viking Age graves on the Harad mountain plateau. These are the largest prehistoric burial grounds in western Norway. This hike is longer and can take up to 90 minutes. In full disclosure, we did not do this hike. Also, if you don't feel like walking, you can take a 55-minute tour of the town by the troll train. It has 2 stops, the prehistoric burial grounds and the historic old church. Before we returned to the ship, we had to sample some local treats, so we stopped at the delightful VIK bakery and enjoyed a delicious cinnamon sugar pastry, which was so very tasty. We visited Eidfjord in late September and the weather was a bit chilly, around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's best to dress in layers and have a waterproof jacket in case it rains. Comfortable shoes are a must for the many steps that you'll take, and so is a good camera for capturing the magnificent scenery. As sunset approached, we ended our time in Eidfjord. The Voringfassen waterfall is a must-see. A leisurely stroll to see the old church and downtown was great, and a snack stop at the local VIK bakery made this a truly enjoyable day. Our next stop is Ålesund, Norway, so look for our next video that highlights all you can see and do there. Thanks for watching.